This is the Trading Psychology Podcast. This is VP, creator of No Nonsense Forex and author of the book No Nonsense Forex Trading Psychology. And with me, as he is every episode, his face will soon be on the Kiwi dollar. It is Robb Reinhold.
And you're right. I look exactly like a Kiwi.
Perfect. So if you don't know why Robb and I have been away as much as we have, we had a little bit of travel crossover, and then I got sick. So we thank everybody for sticking with us and being patient. A lot of you are asking if we had shuttered the podcast. No, we have not done that. We will tell you when that day comes. But for now, we are carrying on because...
Hey, Patrick, can I just jump in here? Since you called me a Kiwi, I have to share a Kiwi experience from New Zealand with everyone.
Oh, please do. Yeah, before we go on, yeah.
Again, I would not share this if it wasn't one of the most ridiculous things I've ever done in my entire life. We laugh about it so much now. So we think, we got to do New Zealand stuff. So we signed up for this Kiwi spotting tour. Kiwis are nocturnal. So it started at like 11 p.m. And this guy was running the tour. I've never seen anyone so excited about not just Kiwis, about any animal in general, to where it was like kind of creepy and weird, like a little bit like, this is a little bit maybe. Anyway, you get the point. So we go out in the middle of not the jungle, but in the middle of the forest, and we're walking for hours, like 2 hours of walking in the dark. And then we go through training of how to spot this Kiwi. And we all work on how to get in a line, because you're only going to see this Kiwi for 2 seconds. And he wants everyone in the group to be able to see it. So you have to line up. So we're doing like boot camp style lining up in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere. And then he lines us up along these trees. And he just tells us, all right, stare out. You and then you give a signal, not a yell, but a signal that you see something. That went on for 1.5 hours. And I remember just thinking, I'm looking out into the darkness. I can't see anything. It's like 1 a.m. And I'm thinking, am I being punked? Surely I'm being punked. Surely this is the biggest joke ever. Ever. Just staring out. You couldn't make a sound. You couldn't move. You just had to give a hand signal. Oh my gosh. And pretty soon I'm like, we're being punked so bad. They're going to say, surprise, this is all on candid camera, whatever. Anyway, in the end, we did end up seeing a Kiwi, and he was right. We saw it for about 2 seconds, and then we left. So that is my Kiwi story. So unless you really love Kiwis, I would say go do something else.
And by law, you are not allowed to take pictures of them, are you?
No, I didn't even have enough time to take a picture of it.
Okay. Yeah, I always heard you're not allowed to do that. That's a big problem out there for some reason.
Yes, they're very protected.
Yeah. Okay. So are you familiar? Did you guys have snipe hunting growing up in Utah? We did in the Midwest.
Yes. And you know what? It was basically a snipe hunt. That's basically what we were on.
Okay. For anybody that doesn't know that, in a nutshell, it's pretty much a joke. They say, hey, we're going to go snipe hunting. You got to take this bag and bang it on the ground, and it's all, and then they just have you try to do that while they leave you in the middle of the woods. It's a big joke. It kind of reminded me of that. I haven't thought of snipe hunting in probably 30 years.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is that anyone who didn't know, they stayed out there looking for it. And everyone who does know, you just go back to where you started the snipe hunt, and you laugh at all the others. And it takes hours for the other people to come back and find out that they were ditched. Not all that funny.
Right, but a nice moment of camaraderie, I guess. So, well, now that Robb and I have scratched our itch there, let me go ahead and say that we do have some really interesting episodes coming up on our spreadsheet, but you guys, the viewers, the listeners, have given us in the comments section of, I think it was the fantasy football episode, some really interesting ideas for episodes. So we are going to do that this week and in the next episode as well. So thank you for that. You are prolonging the life of the Trading Psychology Podcast all by yourself. And this one right here was a user suggestion, Robb, and I'm going to hand this over mostly to you. We're talking about scalping, so short-term trading versus swing trading. which is a longer term style of trading. We will define those terms and make them a bit more narrow in a moment. But actually, you know what, Robb? Let's do that now. Because you see so much of both of this, because Maverick does allow you to do things either way, provided you show proficiency at it. If you had to define scalping and you had to define swing trading, time frame wise, how would you do it?
Well, you're giving me an assignment of something that I truly, truly hate. I truly hate these terms. But I fully understand why people use them, because you do have to clarify your intended time that you're going to hold the trade. Like, I do feel like that is part of your trading plan. You have to define it. You have to say, this is what my plan is. I think I'm going to hold trades for about this long. But it really bugs me that, there is no governing body of trading. So, if we could go back to, the 1970s and to where the governing body of trading got together and they all decided, as a group, what these terms meant and how they were put together, and then they published those results to everybody, then these terms would mean something. But guess what? Somebody back in the past that had their opinion decided to call something scalping, call something swing trading, call something position trading, and everyone else said, okay, we'll go along with that. So look, I'm just going to say what I've heard. Scalping is, intraday trading, where you're likely to hold less than an hour. Then you have day trading, where you're going to hold less than a day. Swing trading, 2 to 20 days would be what I've heard for swing trading. And then position trading is going to be like, 4 weeks to a couple months. Those are the terms I've heard, but it bothers me to even use those terms. But I understand we do have to put them in categories.
Yeah, and I hate it too. But for the sake of what we're talking about, let me go ahead and agree and disagree with one thing. One, yes, even talking about this is just nauseating because there is no defined term. I've even mentioned something like this on one of my videos, and I had people come in and say, no, that's not what scalping is. I'm like, well, do you have a copy of the Almighty Trading Bible that I don't have? Like, who is the authority that says what this is and what this isn't? Everybody defines it different. Now, where I'm going to disagree is, maybe I'm just disagreeing because I hate the idea of this, but talking about how long to hold on to a trade, because that all depends on the trade. If you're scalping and you have a great trade that just keeps going, well, I mean, you could hypothetically hold that for days or even weeks if it just keeps on. So yeah, that's the whole reason. We've talked about this before, where I never really got into options because I don't like to be governed by time. I like my trade to do what it needs to do, regardless of how long that is. So yes, agree. It's a pain in the ass, and there really is no hardcore time frame on this. Also disagree. If we are going to measure it, I wouldn't measure it by how long you're going to hold the trade. That just feels like a door I don't want to open.
Well, let me jump in here, and I use the phrase intended time you're going to be in a trade. And your system is pretty much going to determine that. For example, if I am a trader and I use very tight stops, I might say, I want to be in this one for 100 days. There's no way in hell I'm going to be in that one for 100 days. I'm going to get knocked out. Or I could be someone with a very, very loose strategy. And then all of a sudden, I might be able to hold it for my intended period. So I think the best way to figure out your defined term is look at your current trades, find the average of the daily, of how many days held or hours held, find that average. And then you can put yourself in that category. Oh, I'm a swing trader. I'm a scalper. I think you look for your average because I think you're right. I think the trade is going to tell you when you're in or out of it. It's going to tell you when you're out of it. That's not able to be quantified. It's going to happen when it happens. But I think if you take all your trades and you average them out, you're going to find out my average holding is 10 days. Okay, you probably fit into the swing trader bucket.
So let's, for the sake of this episode, tell me if you agree with this, and we can go ahead and use it if you like it. I would take the length of holding a trade out of it and just say scalping mainly. You're going to be using shorter time frames. The London session, the US session, the Asian session, those things mean a lot more to you. And there's a better than average chance you're going to be in and out of that trade within the same day. To where swing trading is almost everything beyond that, I would say, to where sessions don't mean as much to you, and you're going to have longer stop losses, things like that, and you're going to allow the trade to play out on a longer time frame. Let's just say that. Fair?
I actually love that definition that you said, where you talked about how the times don't matter. If you are trading the London session, you are a scalper in the classic definition. If you're trading the US session only, then you are a scalper. I really like that in Forex trading, to really differentiate between the two. So I'm all aboard on that one.
Yeah, well, I think I will write the definitive Forex Bible one of these days. But let's move on. So now that we have an idea of what it is, just to avoid confusion. I think everybody already knew, but I just didn't want people coming and saying, actually, okay, we're past that. Now, before we talk about the unique psychologies for each one, real quick, kind of qualify yourself here, Robb. We do have some people that are new. Robb runs the prop firm that I'm a part of, Maverick Trading, and he sees so many different types of traders every single day. And so you have scalpers. You also have swing traders because Maverick allows that. What would you say the ratio is of each if you had to put a number on it?
I would say the current number, I would say, 80 to 85% will fit into the swing trading or longer category. I think so. But here's the evolution of a trader. And let's see if, Patrick, you followed the same way. Everyone gets into either day trading or scalping because you think, oh, I can get in and out. I can just get in and out. And then you find out, hey, this wasn't quite as easy as I thought it was going to be. I'm making a lot of mistakes because I'm over trading, all that stuff. So then you start to back off to longer time frames. Would you agree that that's pretty much the evolution of all traders?
I would say so. And to be fair, I don't think it's because of our instant gratification tendencies. I think we all have that. But when you go learn about Forex and technical analysis for the first time, all they do is show you 15-minute charts and maybe if you're lucky, the 5-minute chart. And on top of that, every single tool they put on there works like a charm and gives you an amazing trade. So, of course, in your mind, like, yeah, well, why would I spend any more time than, why would I extend these things out for weeks when I can just sit down, make a ton of money off these amazing trades on the 15-minute chart, and then call it a day? That sounds awesome. And so that's what I want to do. And then you marry yourself to that ideology, only to find out later that scalping is a horrible, shitty lifestyle for most people. And it takes away a lot of your day. It burrows into your mental health and often your physical health. And you just look for a better way. And sometimes there's not somebody there to say, hey, there is a better way. All you had to do was just zoom out and take a longer term time frame. I think a lot of people just burn out because scalping is really hard, and it is certainly not for everybody.
All I can do is agree 100% with everything you said.
Yeah, so but regardless, we do have scalpers on my channel. I know that for a fact, and that's what they like to do. They are successful at it, from what I understand.
And we've got people scalping at Maverick, and they're successful at it.
Sure, yeah, so we can't sit there and say one is good, one is bad. But what we do know is there are two very defined sets of psychology for each one. So since it's been so long since I've really scalped, I do remember it pretty well, but I think you can speak a lot more to this part, Robb. Tell us what you think if you're going to come in as a scalper and you've decided that's how you want to do it. What are some tips that you can give people to hopefully ensure that they won't burn out, or they won't burn out as quickly as your average new scalper would?
I think the best way to really think about scalping is to bring in a boxing analogy. So in the world of boxing, you have rounds. You have these rounds. And I don't know if you've ever done any boxing or any sort of professional fighting.
2 years.
But one round is super intense. And when people say, oh, a 3-minute round, 3 minutes. Do you know how long 3 minutes is in the world of boxing. I mean, Patrick, how long did a round seem like to you?
It seemed like an eternity. I mean, there's some times where you felt pretty confident going in, but if it was somebody who was equal to you or better than you, my God, all you wanted to do was get out of there.
Or if your cardio wasn't quite up to snuff, that's a bad one. When your cardio isn't on point and you do a 3-minute round, by 2 minutes, like you can't lift your arms up. So it's super intense.
No, and that's the thing too. You're not really, anybody who's done this knows, you're not really afraid of getting hit. You're afraid of getting tired. Because if you're tired and you still have a minute to go, again, that's going to seem like 10 minutes, and you're helpless. You're stuck in a ring with a madman who's trying to kill you, and you can't even really defend yourself. That's the one thing you try to avoid more than anything when you're in the ring, and that's why you do the cardio. It's not so you don't get hit. It's so you don't get tired early.
Yeah, and I used to do grappling tournaments, and the only time I would tap out is when I was gassed out. Like, you know, when you fought, and like you're just gassed out, and the person put you in a move that didn't really you didn't really need to tap, but you knew that like, hey, I'm gassed. I'm totally gassed. So I brought up this analogy to really get you in the right mindset of a scalper. You're a boxer. All your training is all about 3 minutes. That's it. You have to go 3 minutes. You have to go 3 minutes full blast, and you've got to be perfect in those 3 minutes. And then after those 3 minutes, you get a break. Now, look, in the world of boxing, you have to do 10 rounds. But in the world of trading, let's just talk about 1 round. You're doing a 1-round boxing match. So think about what you would do to make sure that you were completely physically and mentally ready for that 3-minute round. There would be a different preparation. There would be a totally different preparation that you would go through to make sure that 3 minutes you were really there. Again, you would do, some meditation. You would do a little bit of warm up, but not get too tired. And there's things you would do. Same thing in the world of trading. In scalping, you're going into the market and it's going to be intense. It's going to be intense. It's going to be short term. It's going to be a lot of activity, a lot of things coming at you. You need to be on point. But the thing that you need to understand is that you need a break. Because even if you are a top athlete, after 3 minutes, you need a break. You need a break. So in scalping, this is where discipline comes in. Very, very important. That you are in and you're out of your sessions, and then you walk away. Patrick, what do you think about that?
Well, I just want a little bit of clarification here. Do I walk away and then I'm allowed to come back? Or once my session's over, it's over, turn off my charts and go do something else?
Well, let's go back to a boxing analogy. You get 1 round a day. You get 1 round a day. Right? So your trading day is going to be the equivalent of 1 boxing round, where you're in there and out of there. Now, look, we all love trading so much. Here's the thing is the things we would love to have a 5-minute, or sorry, not a 5-minute, a 5-minute boxing match or a 10-minute boxing match. How about a 1-hour boxing match that we love? We love boxing so much and we enjoy it so much. We want to do a 2-hour round. Do you see how all of a sudden how good you will be as a boxer is going to suffer because you made the round longer? As a trader, if you think you can scalp and sit there for 7 hours a day at peak mental capacity, you're crazy. It's the same thing as trying to be a boxer and doing a 1 minute or a 1 hour round. You can't be there the whole time with everything you have, and that's what you need for scalping. Okay,
I can certainly go along with that. I like that idea too, because usually with scalping, at least with me, I extended it all the way out into like a 6-7 hour session, and man, it just was not the way to go in any way, shape, or form. Sure, I was always present for setups, which was, I guess, the good part, but that was really the only good part. I've given my rant on scalping before. I've done it. Just it takes a special type of person, and if it's you, that's great. But just know, if you don't like it, it's not the only way. You can also go into swing trading. Now, Rob, did you have anything to add before we get into the swing trading part?
I do. I remember you telling stories about how you would come home from work and then you would immediately go into trading. And if that was scalping, again, think about this as a boxing match. You've already done a full workout. You've done a full workout already at the gym. And then you're going to go into a 3-round boxing match with some monster who's been resting for 2 days. Like, you're going to get killed. So when you're thinking about scalping, you really have to think about, you need to be 100% there, 100% with it, and just ready to go. And then when the round's over, the round's over. And so stuff like, I remember I used to try to do this as a younger trader, is, hey, there's news overnight at 2 a.m. So I wake up at 1:57 a.m. I wake up at 1:57 a.m. and get in front of my system, and I think I'm going to be the best scalper that I could possibly be. No, I've got so many things working against me. So you really have to treat this as a round of boxing. What did you do before that round to prepare for it? And then when it's over, how do you wind down and how do you get ready for the next round tomorrow? You really have to look at it that way. You can't just be waking up in the middle of the night and think you're going to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, why would you give yourself 2 full-time jobs? That's pretty much exactly what I did. I was physically tired. I did give myself maybe a half-hour break, but when you work at night, you come home, London session's about to start on the Pacific Coast. So that's just how I did it. I had the discipline to say, okay, this is how it's going to be. But it was really still the wrong move. I wish there was somebody there from the beginning to say, look, it doesn't have to be that way. And for most people, it shouldn't be this way. There is a better method out there, and that is swing trading. So swing trading is what I teach. I say the daily chart is the most optimal way to go. I have transitioned into the weekly chart because the daily chart just doesn't fit my lifestyle anymore. I'm missing out on too many opportunities. And I would say so far so good on that. But for most people, I think the daily offers that nice balance between always being active, because you're going to be active every single trading day, and getting the best of it. Because the more you zoom out for technical analysis, the more accurate your tools are, no matter which tools you use. That's always been the case. So you're really getting the best of everything. However, Rob, I have a list of things in front of me that I can speak to where you're getting the best of it, but for some reason, people still want to make this a lot harder than it needs to be. But I want to hear what you have to say about this before I get into mine, because I might rant for a minute here.
When I first started trading in 1997, I started out day trading stocks. And looking back on it, thank God the stock market was only open 7.5 hours. Thank God that I didn't have a mobile device in my pocket where that I could make trades. And thank God that I didn't have internet at my house. And I'm saying all that because I was still making a lot of mistakes. So let's say that somebody makes a mistake 10% of the time. So let's say that a trader makes a mistake 10% of the time. So 1 out of every 10 trades, they make a mistake. Well, if you are a swing trader and you're making 10 trades a month, okay, you're making 1 mistake a month, and that mistake is going to hurt you. It's going to drag down your performance. It's going to have all the issues. Imagine you're a scalper. Now, I would do day trading and start out, and there would be some days where I would make 20, 30 trades. And if I'm making mistakes on 10 to 20% of those trades, that's a serious drag. That's a lot of drag. And that's the problem with scalping, especially in the beginning, is that until you are perfect, you're simply amplifying the mistakes. So if you're making 10 trades a day and you're making, let's call it 20% of the trades you're not quite perfect on, you're blowing 2 trades a day, which is going to have a serious drag on your overall results. And especially if those mistakes are major, like pulling a stop and taking where you're getting 1% gains, but then you take a 10% loss, that is killing your results, absolutely killing it. So what it really comes down to is, as a new trader and as a developing trader, and even as a professional trader, you're not going to be perfect. Patrick and I have been very, very honest and say we misclick buttons still to this day. I still to this day misclick buttons on orders. So I am going to have a percentage of my trades that are mistakes. Now, over time, you're going to narrow that down to where it's close to zero. But in the beginning, if you keep clicking buttons, that is going to hurt you over and over and over again. And that's why I think you want to start, not start like we all started with scalping and day trading. Start with longer term trading, get those mistakes out of the way, and then you can start looking at shorter terms. But people hardly do it that way.
Yeah, and what's worse is when they finally cross over into swing trading, they still deep down want to be a scalper. The great thing about trading off the daily chart, for example, I can't really speak to the 4-hour or anything like that, but as far as the daily goes, you get to open your charts up at a specific time of day, look them over, do what you have to do, shut it down, and then 15, 20 minutes later, you're done. You can get on with the rest of your life. It is phenomenal. Yet, somehow, that's not good enough for most people. They still want that, I'm doing air quotes, trader lifestyle, where they're just all about trading all the time and it permeates their life and it makes them miserable. Problem is, that's also going to get you to do things you shouldn't be doing. Things like that are going to get you to deviate from your system. So what I tell people when they swing trade, and I've said this on my channel numerous times, is don't make yourself frantic for no reason. How do you do that? Don't look at your phone. Don't have your trading app on your phone and open it during the day. The only reason I will allow you to have a trading app on your phone is if it is, one, not on any of your home screens, and two, the only reason you would even have it is if we have another 9/11 and the market is going absolutely crazy and you need to jump in and do some type of triage to your account due to slippage or factors that might be beyond your control. That's the only reason you would ever have an app on your phone. I don't have any type of apps, trading apps, financial news apps, anything like that on my phone because I shouldn't be looking at it. Because if I do, it's going to compel me to barge in where I don't need to be and do something I don't need to do.
I totally agree. And this is just coming back to making mistakes. As a younger trader, and I will use the term younger trader in both ways. Both younger as far as experience and younger as in age. And I'm going to talk to the men especially here. I was full of fire and full of energy and full of anger as a late teen, early 20s male when I got into trading. And that permeated into trading. Now, at the moment, I couldn't see it. There's no way I was self-aware enough to see the destruction that I could potentially cause. Now that I'm older and I look back, I'm just not sure. And again, I hate to say this because I don't want to dash any young 20-year-old boy's hopes of becoming a trader, but I really think it's my duty to tell you, you're the most dangerous to yourself as a young man at the age of 20. You got a lot of things swirling around. I know you think you're in control. I thought I was in control. I fully thought I was in control. But when you get to be older and you look back and you say, okay, I totally slowed down my progression and my success in my 20s by being overzealous, over energetic, over optimistic, overconfident, over everything. And so I just really want to just caution anyone in their 20s that's natural, that's normal, that's how biology works. Just be really, conscious and self-aware that, hey, you have more obstacles just because of your age. And it's not because of age. Age is just a number, but it's because you still have all those hormones and all those things swirling around your system that, a 70-year-old man just doesn't have to deal with. Not that I'm 70, but they just have to deal with a lot less. So again, back to psychologies, you put yourself in that scalping mentality where it feels right, it feels natural, but you are so dangerous because number one, you don't know enough to even know you're dangerous. Number two, your chemistry swirling around in your body is the most dangerous it's going to be in your life. It's why scalping is really a bad idea for most people early on. If you want to be a scalper later on, great. but not a place to start.
No, but again, it's impossible to tell anybody. It's possible to anybody in their 20s, anything really, including how we were when we were in our 20s. Everybody's got stories of all the wild and crazy things they did in their 20s, unless they're dead or disfigured, because they probably did something stupid in their 20s. So it's just one of those things. Hope you make it out on the other side, but if you can take advice from people who have been there, then take that advice. And part of my advice is take these landmines out of your way, like a trading app on your phone. Just take it off. Don't allow yourself to be a hormone-addled 20-something and make stupid mistakes. Take the steps now to prevent that monster from creeping in. Also, and I've said this on this podcast, and I think I said on this podcast for the very first time ever out loud. And I should have said it much earlier, because I'll give myself credit. It was kind of a banger of a phrase. It's, if you're a swing trader, treat trading like a data entry job. Go in, do the things your system is telling you to do. Do not question it. Just put it in. Whatever happens is going to happen. Close the computer and walk away. Yeah, you're going to take losses. You might take strings of losses, and you're going to wonder, why am I doing it this way? Because you have to look long term. If you have a good system and it is back tested to be a good system, then that system should replicate somewhat going forward, and it's just a matter of waiting it out. Again, you're not going to want to do it, especially when you're losing, but there is no other choice. You have to let the system do what it was meant to do, or else how are you going to know? How else are you going to know that the system you back tested and curated even has a chance? You have to let it. And that's literally all you have to do. We talked about this in the Smart Kid episode. If you really were as smart as you thought you were, or as you think you are, you will be able to turn your brain off at appropriate times. But a lot of us can't, because we're not as smart as we think we are. The best way to be as smart as you think you are and have great results in a field where most people fail is to do exactly what I just said. Turn your brain off, enter it in like data, some drone job that everybody hates, where you just put in data and leave, and do just that.
Totally correct. And I think today's motto for the podcast should be trade smarter, not harder. And in one of our earlier episodes, we made a joke about making trade harder t-shirts that we could sell, trade harder. And we kind of joked about it, but it's kind of ironic, because in pretty much all other areas in your life, your effort determines your success. Especially like things like going to the gym, getting back in shape, even your career, how much effort you put in your career. And like if you're going to school, if you put in a lot of effort into your schoolwork, you're going to get better grades. And so all of these things out there in the world, it's all about effort. And trading, oh my gosh, trading is almost the opposite. The more effort you put in, the less results you are likely to get, because of all the psychological issues that we've talked about. So in trading, effort is a negative. And I want you to really think about that. Trading harder, trying harder, pushing harder, trading more, trading bigger, it's all a negative. It's all negative. Trade smarter, not harder. So can you make money scalping? Yes, you can. Is it harder? Yes, it is. Trade smarter. Less effort typically equals better performance. I know it's the opposite of everything in life, and I'm sorry it doesn't work the same way. But less effort equals better results in trading.
You nailed it. If I'm going head to head with somebody in a trading contest, I hope they trade harder than me, because they are going to lose. Because unlike them, I'm actually letting my system do the work, regardless of what that system even is. I mean, for God's sakes, Robb created a YouTube channel where he flipped coins and used Ouija boards, but just did everything else right and kept his emotions out of it, and just came in and made the donuts every day and then left, and it did extremely well in the course of a year. So it's really it. So I guess the last thing I have on the outline here, Robb, is what scalping and swing trading has in common, and that's really it for me. It's what I said very early in the career of my channel: trade your system, stay the fuck out of the way, repeat. Do you have anything to add on to that before we close?
Just a big old amen, brother.
And on that note, thank you for welcoming us back into your lives here at the Trading Psychology Podcast. Rob and I will both see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.